For those living under a rock, Sony is bringing out a retro console next month called the PlayStation Classic that is essentially a miniaturized version of the PlayStation 1. Much similar to the Nintendo Classic, the PlayStation Classic will come preloaded with a number of vintage games from the golden period. There is obviously some excitement for memorabilia collectors as well as those wanting to turn back time for nostalgic reasons, but a rather surprising revelation has forced a lid on that enthusiasm, at least for some in the community. Hi, I'm Wes Malik from SegmentNext, and here is what you need to know. It can be quite a challenge to support older platforms on relatively newer ones. This is why Microsoft was hailed for managing backwards compatibility for the Xbox 360 on the Xbox One. There's always a need for a good and robust emulator that basically enables one system to imitate another. In that regard, it was being assumed that Sony must have chalked up a separate emulation software for the PlayStation Classic. However, as it turns out, no such development work has been done. The company has instead decided to use the free and open source PCSX Emulator to do the job. Take note that the same program has been used by the public to play vintage games on their desktop systems for years, regardless of the console that they were originally released on. The porting support covers platforms like Dreamcast, GameCube, 3DS, and most importantly, the PlayStation 1. Hence, the games that were released for these retro consoles were always accessible for free. In all honesty, Sony was expected to put in some effort to ensure a more authentic experience on the PlayStation Classic. While this move confirms that even a third-party product can be just as good as an official one, it brings up the question of payment. There's a group of volunteers changing members now and then that is responsible for not only creating the PCSX emulator, but also supporting it for more than a decade. It would seem credible that the modders get paid for their work or at least receive some sort of recognition from Sony. Unfortunately, that may never happen. The specific emulator was released under the General Public License (GNU) that is widely used for free and open source software. This guarantees end-user freedom to run, study, share, and modify the files without any limitations. Under those strict rules, Sony is not required to pay any royalties since they also own the licenses of the games that will be cached in the PlayStation Classic. The irony in the whole matter is that Sony has repeatedly tried to sue such emulators in the past years for breaking terms of service. Nintendo has similarly done the same to shut down any fan-related modding work. In the current generation, however, the same conglomerates are happily using the same open-source emulators for their own needs. Do you think that Sony should at least make an announcement to recognize the PCSX team? Let us know in the comments below. The PlayStation Classic is scheduled to release on December 3rd, 2018, just in time for the Christmas season. The mini console will set you back by $100.